The streets of Los Angeles are a symphony of contrasts: luxury cars speeding past crumbling sidewalks, gleaming skyscrapers towering over makeshift shelters. Amid this stark dichotomy, a man named Caleb sat on the corner of Sunset Boulevard. His clothes, weathered and torn, told a story of years spent surviving the streets. Caleb was not always homeless. Once, he had a small repair shop and a family he loved deeply. But life has a way of unraveling even the most tightly knit threads, and a series of misfortunes had left him with nothing but memories and hope. On this particular evening, Caleb's hope was running thin. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, a cruel reminder that another cold night awaited him. He held a battered cardboard sign that simply read, "Hungry. Anything helps." As he sat quietly, watching people rush past him without a second glance, a sleek Tesla pulled up to the curb. The car was an epitome of modern luxury, its silent engine a sharp contrast to the chaotic noise of the street. Caleb couldn't help but look at the man who stepped out. It was Elon Musk, one of the most recognizable faces in the world, the billionaire entrepreneur who had become a symbol of ambition and innovation. Caleb hesitated. He had heard of Musk before, seen his face on magazine covers that adorned newsstands. Here was a man who could single-handedly change a life with the mere stroke of a pen. Mustering all his courage, Caleb called out, his voice trembling, "Sir, can you spare just $2? It's all I need for a meal." Elon stopped in his tracks and turned to face the source of the voice. His sharp blue eyes met Caleb's weary gaze. There was no security entourage, no air of arrogance, just a man who seemed genuinely curious. The world seemed to pause for a moment, as Caleb's simple question hung in the air, waiting for a response. Instead of walking away or tossing him a few coins as many might, Elon did something unexpected. He crouched down to Caleb's level, meeting him eye to eye. "Why $2?" he asked, his voice calm but tinged with curiosity. Caleb was caught off guard. He hadn't expected a conversation. "It's enough for a sandwich," he replied, his voice barely audible. "I haven't eaten all day." Elon nodded thoughtfully, as if Caleb's words carried the weight of a profound truth. What happened next would leave not only Caleb but everyone who heard the story utterly speechless. Caleb stared at the glowing screen of his cracked phone, his breath hitching in his chest. His rough, calloused fingers trembled as he tapped the notification. The subject line read, "Opportunity awaits," 2 words that carried the weight of a lifetime. The email was brief but clear. "Caleb, your story moved me. Tomorrow morning, come to this address, 3500 Tesla Road, Fremont. Ask for me at the front desk. Don't worry about transportation, I've arranged it. See you soon. Elon." Caleb reread the message a dozen times, his mind racing. Was this real? Could this actually be happening to him? For years, life had been a cycle of empty promises, false hope, and silent nights under cardboard roofs. But something about Elon's steady gaze, his quiet sincerity, made Caleb believe this wasn't another cruel joke played by fate. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. He huddled in his corner of the city, clutching his phone like a lifeline. The stars above, distant and cold, seemed to shimmer with a faint glow of hope. Morning arrived with a golden sunrise breaking over the skyline. True to the promise, a sleek black car pulled up to the curb where Caleb usually sat. The driver stepped out, polite and professional, and opened the door for him. "Mr. Caleb, please get in." For the first time in years, Caleb felt like someone. He wasn't invisible anymore. the drive to Tesla's headquarters felt surreal. Through the tinted windows, Caleb watched the world blur past, a world he had been shut out from for so long. When they arrived, the sprawling Tesla facility stood like a monument to innovation, gleaming under the Californian sun. As Caleb walked into the lobby, heads turned. A man with ragged clothes and worn shoes didn't exactly blend in among the polished floors and sleek suits. But Caleb didn't feel shame, he felt purpose. At the front desk, the receptionist greeted him with a warm smile. "Mr. Caleb, Mr. Musk is expecting you. Please follow me." She led him through bright corridors lined with inspirational quotes and futuristic designs until they reached a large glass-walled office. Inside stood Elon Musk, hands in his pockets, gazing out over the factory floor where robots and humans worked side by side to build the future. When Elon turned around and saw Caleb, he smiled a genuine, warm smile. "Caleb," he said, extending his hand. Caleb hesitated for a brief moment before shaking it firmly. "Mr. Musk, I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Elon replied, gesturing for Caleb to sit. "I've been thinking about our conversation. You asked for $2, but I realized what you actually needed was a chance, a real one." Elon leaned forward, his sharp blue eyes locking with Caleb's. "I believe in second chances, Caleb. But only if you believe in yourself first. So here's what I'm offering, a job here at Tesla, starting in an entry-level role. It won't be easy, and it won't be handed to you. But if you show up, work hard, and prove yourself, this could be the start of something new." Caleb's eyes filled with tears, but this time they weren't from sadness or despair, they were tears of gratitude, of overwhelming disbelief. "A job? Here?" Caleb whispered. "But I don't have anything. I don't even have a place to stay." Elon nodded. "I've arranged temporary housing for you near the facility. You'll have a roof over your head, food in your stomach, and a fresh start. But the rest? That's up to you." Caleb felt as though the world had stopped spinning. After years of darkness, someone had finally opened a window and let the light in. "Why me, Mr. Musk? Out of everyone, why me?" Elon leaned back in his chair and gave a small, thoughtful smile. "Because sometimes, it's not about who you are, it's about who you can become." The weight of those words settled over Caleb like a warm blanket. For the first time in years, he felt seen not just as a homeless man begging for scraps, but as a person with potential, with a future. "Thank you, Mr. Musk," Caleb said, his voice trembling. Elon stood, extending his hand once more. "Welcome to Tesla, Caleb. Now let's get to work." As Caleb shook Elon's hand again, he realized something profound. Sometimes, the smallest act of courage, asking for $2, can open doors you never knew existed. The days that followed were some of the hardest and most transformative of Caleb's life. When he arrived at the small apartment Tesla had arranged for him, he sat on the bed, clutching a fresh set of clothes and a warm meal. It had been years since he'd felt the safety of four walls and the simple luxury of a clean pillow beneath his head. But comfort wasn't his destination, this was only the starting line. At Tesla, Caleb started as a janitor. The gleaming factory floors, the hum of robotic arms, and the faint smell of machinery became his new world. Every morning, he arrived early, sweeping, scrubbing, and tidying up spaces most people walked past without noticing. But Caleb noticed. He noticed everything. His work ethic caught people's attention quickly. He wasn't just cleaning floors, he was restoring his dignity, one broom sweep at a time. Elon would occasionally pass by, offering a nod of encouragement. Each time their eyes met, Caleb felt a renewed sense of purpose. But Caleb wasn't content with just surviving, he wanted to grow. After his shifts, he would sit in the corner of the break room with borrowed manuals and old engineering textbooks, devouring every page. Sometimes, an engineer or technician would notice him and offer explanations for complex diagrams or processes. Slowly, Caleb began to understand the machines he was cleaning. Months turned into a year, and Caleb's quiet determination began to pay off. One evening, as he finished his shift, he was called into the office of his supervisor. "Caleb," the supervisor said, looking at his file, "we've noticed your dedication and your curiosity. We're offering you a position on the assembly line. It's a step up, and it comes with training." Caleb's voice cracked as he replied, "Thank you. Thank you so much." The assembly line was a world of precision and speed. Caleb trained tirelessly, learning every detail of the process. He made mistakes, stumbled, and felt moments of doubt, but he never gave up. Every night, when exhaustion threatened to pull him down, he'd remember the cold streets, the ache of hunger, and Elon's words, "Sometimes, it's not about who you are, it's about who you can become." One afternoon, as Caleb carefully adjusted a component on a Tesla vehicle, he heard a familiar voice behind him. "How's it going, Caleb?" It was Elon Musk. He was touring the factory floor, and despite being surrounded by a team of executives, he paused by Caleb's station. Caleb smiled, his hands steady on his tools. "Good, Mr. Musk. Real good." Elon nodded, his smile faint but proud. "Keep it up, Caleb. You're doing great work." 2 years later, Caleb stood on a brightly lit stage at a Tesla company event. His journey had become a quiet legend within the company, a tale of perseverance, humility, and the power of a second chance. Elon Musk introduced him personally to a roaring crowd. "This," Elon said, gesturing to Caleb, "is what happens when you combine opportunity with determination." Caleb didn't just ask for $2, he showed up every day and earned his place here. And that's worth more than any handout. The applause was deafening, but Caleb barely noticed. He stood tall, wearing a clean Tesla uniform, his name stitched proudly on the chest. In the crowd, he spotted familiar faces, co-workers who had become friends, engineers who had mentored him, and executives who had cheered him on from the sidelines. When the applause settled, Caleb stepped forward to the microphone. His voice, steady yet full of emotion, echoed through the hall. "I asked Mr. Musk for $2 because I was hungry. But what he gave me was something much greater, a chance. And I promised myself I wouldn't waste it." To anyone out there struggling, wondering if they're worth a second chance, I am here to tell you, you are. But when that chance comes, grab it with everything you have. Tears glistened in the corners of his eyes, and for a brief moment, the hall was silent again. That night, as Caleb sat on the balcony of his modest yet comfortable apartment, he looked out at the sprawling city below. The same city where he had once begged for spare change, where hunger and loneliness had been his constant companions. He thought back to that cold evening on Sunset Boulevard, to the moment he had locked eyes with a man who could have walked away but chose to stop and listen. Caleb pulled out his phone, now a sleek, new device, and typed a message. "Thank you, Mr. Musk. For everything." Moments later, his phone buzzed with a reply. "Proud of you, Caleb. Never stop dreaming." As the city lights twinkled below and the stars sparkled above, Caleb realized something profound. Sometimes, the most life-changing moments begin with something as simple as asking, "Can you spare $2?" And sometimes, the universe answers in ways you could never have imagined. The end.